Hello and welcome to the very second episode of the Behind the Scenes series. It's a new week. Today is Monday, but before we talk about Monday, let's talk about Friday. So Friday I actually became quite ill, so I apologise if I came across not too exciting on the Friday morning of the last video. However, what's really important on a Friday is I look after all the people that work with me. So before close of play, I make sure everyone's been paid. So for example, in that particular week, we had some painting going on, we had other jobs going on. Everyone got paid, by close of play on the Friday. So it's really important to look after the people that work with you. Nice little pointer there. But on Saturday, and that's right, we're not even on Monday yet. On Saturday, I got a message at about 11 o'clock in the morning. Now, I didn't see this message until 4 o'clock. I wasn't too well over the weekend. In fact, I actually missed a wedding, which I'm rather gutted about. But I got a message on Saturday at 11 o'clock from a tenant saying, we've got a leak in the property. I think it may be from the boiler, and she sent me a picture. Now, most investors or landlords, when they get a message like this over the weekend, it causes them stress, it causes them hassle, aggravation. However, I don't see it that way. Simply what I did was I looked at the picture and I thought, yeah, it probably is the boiler from where that leak is coming from. All I simply did was forward the message to the gas engineer that I've got in that area, and 2.5 hours later he was already sent me the invoice. He'd already finished the job. So, I'm very grateful for the people that work with me, and he managed to go out there on a Saturday evening, fix the leak. It was only a very small leak, nothing serious. And, the tenant's happy that she now has a property that is leak-free. There are easy ways of solving these property management issues, and simply I like to put the tenant in touch with a tradesperson and they can liaise a suitable time between themselves to get to the property. And because I pay my trades and the people that work with me on time, they want to do work for me. And that's why I can get someone out within an hour's notice on a Saturday to fix a job. I've got a survey on the property behind me here in half an hour or so. We purchased this property just under 2 years ago in 2022 for £92,500, an absolute steal. Just to give you a comparison, one of the properties next door was sold only a few months later at £128,000. Now, don't get me wrong, that property was in a bit of a nicer condition than the one that I purchased, but then again, it's still an absolutely great deal. So the plan with this property was actually to refurb the property, add value to it, rent it out at market rate, and then refinance 2 years down the line. But this didn't happen, and this didn't happen mainly because the tenant loves living in the property, and fair play. We had to increase the rent a little bit to make the math and the numbers work for us, because actually the rent that he was paying when we purchased the property was really low, and that's what put off a lot of investors that didn't want to deal with passing on rent increases. So yes, we had to make a rent increase, but the tenant really enjoys living at the property. So we delayed this refurb, because obviously if we refurb the property, he wouldn't be living in the property. However, this has actually turned out a bit of a blessing in disguise, because as we all know, rates have increased over the past 2 years. And actually, if we had refurbed the property, we'd be paying a higher rate on that money we have invested in the property. Whereas actually now we can delay that refurb. So a question I've got for you, for anyone watching who's thinking about refurbing a property, well, actually think about how many years you're going to have this refurb money invested in the property. Well, here's an option I'd like to propose to you. Let's say you fix your mortgage for 5 years. Well, actually, why don't you refurb that property only 1 year before that mortgage comes up for expiry, so in year 4? And I'll tell you why. 2 reasons. First of all, if you do this, you've only got that £20,000 for the refurb invested in the property for 1 year, because you can pull that cash out when you refinance. But also, when you refurb only 1 year before that mortgage comes to an end, well, guess what? When the valuer and the surveyors come into that property to have a look and value that property, all of a sudden that property looks like a brand new property, and they have high confidence placing a high value on it. Whereas if you'd refurb that property straight away from day one, then waited 5 years, well, it's going to look tired again, isn't it? So there are 2 reasons on why to maybe delay your refurbs and be a bit more timely with your refurbs when it comes to refinancing. So there's a few little bits and bobs we just need to do before the surveyor comes, a few batteries to change and things of that nature. Just want to make sure everything's looking good for when the surveyor arrives. So one thing we've got to do today is I had some roofing work done on both these properties, number 62 and number 60. Now, some of this work was done about 3 weeks ago, and for any of you in the UK in the past couple of weeks will know we've had an awful amount of rain. So we're going to see if this roofing work was done properly and it stopped any water coming into the property. So we're going to go have a look inside, make sure there's no water coming in, and if I'm happy, then we can mark that job as complete. So good news, there's obviously no sign of water coming in here. So Jack, if you want to kind of have a look at the ceiling here where the water was coming in before, it looks really nice. So I think we can mark this job as done. So I've been kindly invited to a business angel event. Very much looking forward to that. It's absolutely roasting today. It's 27 degrees. So hot. However, a little bit of an update from my side. So we've had one tenant give notice today. However, I don't think they're actually aware that they're still in their fixed term contract. So their fixed term expires on the 1st of December. So I've obviously told them this. It's fine if they do want to move out early. It's just that they are then liable for the property until the new tenant moves in. So we'll see what happens there, and of course I'll update you. Now, in other news, you've probably heard on the news that Wilko's has gone into administration. Unfortunately, they haven't found a buyer. I've actually got a tenant that works for Wilko's, so I do feel for her, and hopefully she's able to find a new role. I think they employed 12,000 people. Yeah, really bad news there. And of course, for anyone who is a landlord, I'm sure at one point at time you would have gone to Wilko's to get your supplies, and we'll probably have to go somewhere else. We'll see what happens there. So on Tuesday, I had a quite good meeting with a lender who would like to work with me. So this is bridging lending. So for anyone that's looking to obtain bridging finance, please do reach out to me and I can put you in touch with them. Their rates are very reasonable. In fact, I did apply for some of their lending last year on a property that I saw in Harrogate. So what else have I been up to? Well, first of all, two of my mentees, Matt and James, we caught up this week and had a really good session. They've both got purchases in the pipeline due to complete, I'd say, within a month, all being well. Now, we've come across two really good property opportunities this week, both in Wakefield, a house and a flat. Separate sellers, the transactions aren't linked in any way. So we're in the process of doing a bit more due diligence before we commit to it. These look like really good deals and deals that our investors are interested in. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the last video of this weekly series, as there isn't too much going on Friday, but you never know in property. Things obviously come up when you least expect it. But if it is, I'm going to sign off now. So I really hope you enjoy these weekly videos. We'll keep them going. Some weeks will be more interesting than others. It's pretty quiet at the moment, if I'm honest. So there's not that much going on. It's August. People are on holiday, or or are not really in the market and investing. But that's great. It's great for people like me who are still in the market and actively looking. It's also great for the investors that we have on the books. Again, they can get a really good deal, whilst the majority of investors are out the market. So I wish you all the very best with your property investing week, and I'll see you next week.